Go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, maggots and germs and everything in between. We got Jamie King right here. Yeah, applause, applause. Mag said that she was happy, excited, digging to see you on the screen, name to a face and all that. And so that's awesome. And I have a feeling, and well, you can see the chat now. It looks like other people are gifting subs too. That's awesome. You guys rock.
Awesome.
And so what we're doing right now, I'm recording this now so I can upload it later for any bands that put it in case they say, man, I didn't get to see it. They'll get to see it. And then we'll upload it later. Jamie King is, well, you know what? Go ahead and tell what you do, man. I don't want to talk for you.
I'm an audio janitor. Yeah. People just send me music and I grab my digital broom and toilet cleaner, and yeah, I just clean stuff up.
I bet it feels like that, don't it?
I mean, literally, yeah, just audio production. You know, I record and do mixing and mastering, that kind of stuff. Which, I mean, it's in large part, it is just kind of like organizing and cleaning up audio. I mean, that's
I can't get past that. Man.
Take people's ideas and then you know, make it into the finished product kind of thing. You know. So
yeah. Well,
there's some reality in that.
I can lots of it. I can attest to the last two songs I sent him. It probably has a giant trash can. with a dust cloud like Pigpen from Snoopy, you know, Charlie Brown.
It's the usual stuff, man. It's when technology doesn't want to play nicely together.
I'm telling you, dude. And speaking of technology, the fuse on my amp blew out today for my PA. And I count on that, man, when making the music videos, because I cannot hear when I'm playing the drums. I can't hear. So the music video I did today is a comical song, so I didn't really care too much. But you watch the music video and it sounds like I'm trying really hard to listen. Well, it's because I am. And I was pretty much guessing the whole way through, like, I hope I'm doing it in time because I don't know, you know. But anyway,
you're an editing wizard, so you'll CGI it into.
It's already done. We're about to launch it tonight, so it's like, you know, it is what it is. Now, if this was like a full CGI thing, oh yeah, God, man, I would grow myself an extra arm if that's what it took. But anyway, so Jamie King is here tonight doing a very big special, and it's so cool because this is like the busiest guy I've ever met. He's busier than me, and before that I was the busiest guy I ever met. We got bands that submitted music in, and Jamie's gonna give a little bit of tips, and this is not a critique saying, oh, your thing sucks, or anything like that. Let me make this full screen. I just realized it's not on. There we go. And it's nothing like that. He's not going to tell you if your song is good or bad. I've had a lot of feedback. Well, I don't know, man. I don't want him to say, you know, if he doesn't like it. It doesn't matter if he likes it or not. This is really just to give you some advice on your recording, what he, you know, little hints or whatever he can give you. This is very valuable stuff. This guy has been my mentor for a long time, like as long as my oldest child has been around. Sorry, not trying to age you and I both, but that's the way it is.
Been a minute.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the people that has a submission in here, I've been turning all that around, and I've been a mentor to him, so this will be kind of exciting. So we're gonna start with this one. There's no actually, it just kind of went in a random order for some reason in the database. So I'm gonna go from the top down. This is Carl Rising's song. This is where you're going to want to mute this thing so you can hear it through the Twitch. This song is called Dropping Clues, and he says in the notes to you, hey Jamie, would love to have your ears and critique on this mix. Thanks, R&R. All right. So,
well, interesting thing about this is that I'm actually probably going to be working on the mix of maybe this song or one of Carl's songs. So we'll see how this, which song this is, but yeah. But yeah, this dude knows me, so
this is going to be kind of like a Peredy thing. Like you're going to give him a pre-mixed stuff to you then.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess like I said, he's just hooking us up here.
Okay.
Part of the show, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm down to check this out and see if I can throw some things out on the whim.
Okay. All right. Now he didn't put any specific time frame to focus on. I've been asking him to pick a minute and a half. So I'll just play it, and then when you hear enough to where you think you do the critique, just do like this at me,
Gotcha.
All right, here we go. We're going to play it right now.
It's a song about keeping your eyes open. You might miss something important. I woke up in my bed all alone since you left. I don't even answer the phone. This don't say we're through. Say there's something I can do. When it's dark, I'll bring the light out on you, and I'll be anything you need. Yeah, 'cause I need you. When it's dark, I brought the sunshine on you, and I was everything you need. Yeah. Fuck
Yeah, I dig it, man. That's cool. Big sound. But that's not here for my opinion. So what do you got for him, man? Oh, you gotta unmute.
There you go. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'll get the hang of this in a minute. But yeah, interesting thing about this is Joe. I mean, I don't know if he wants people to know his real name or not, but Carl Rising. I recorded the drums for this project, and he does really cool stuff. It's got really classic vibe. And this is actually a different song than the song that I will be mixing. I know he was looking for kind of a. I know the reference he threw out there is the some of the Nickelback production stuff for his material. So that would obviously give it a decidedly more modern vibe. This particular mix has that pretty much straight up classic. Late 70s, early 80s type of thing. You know, I always, in his stuff, I hear a lot of Boston and stuff like that. I know he uses like a Rockman guitar thing, which was big in that time. And he does a lot of interesting stuff with effects and stuff of that nature. But as far as this mix, in terms of any recommendations, and then obviously the stuff that I'm going to be working with, I hear a little bit of, there could be some, some more high pass on the vocals, a little bit of low pass on the vocals, maybe to get rid of, a little bit of the sizzliness on the vocals, and a little bit of the almost the bassy boxiness on the vocals. It sounds cool in some moments and kind of the more talky vocal moments, but I think to sound more commercial, normally you don't have that much of much low end. It kind of, when you have a lot of low end on the vocal, depending on the style, I mean, normally it really kind of sets the vocal like separate from the mix instead of a kind of a melded, the vocal melded with the mix kind of thing. So that was one thing I would notice. Maybe a little less high end on the guitar. I think. But like, having said all this, these are my, I guess, natural instincts based on what I normally do. And what I normally do is more modern production style stuff. Obviously this being kind of a classic styled song, and, with classic tones and classic, riff styling and vocal styling, is a lot of like classic type of effects, so, in a lot of ways, this is spot on, like it's got the big tom sound, big classic drum sound, obviously, like, if you're like, hey, put the Nickelback treatment on in this song, it might not even make sense to do a modern type production for this style of music. It depends on the market you're going for, and I guess the overall aesthetic that you want for the product, and of course, you know me, like I always ask the artist, like, what do you want it to sound like? Let me hear some stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Exactly. Yeah, and I try
Don't
to
be like Peredy and throwing 3 different bands to sound like, because
well, it never hurts to kind of, because I usually don't like to try to make anybody sound like exactly like somebody else,
right.
But as my opinion at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like I don't feel like I personally have this golden opinion on what style of music you should be doing or what sound you should have. I have what I like, and I normally kind of try that out to some degree on everything that I work with. I'll put the ideas on the table, but ultimately it's whoever's paying for the product. They have the final say so.
Right.
And so, I would assess like what, this is a unique situation because I know like, kind of some stuff that he's going for and things like that. So, but normally, whoever's paying for the record, whether it be the artist or the record label, whoever's paying the bill normally has the final say so with me. I just think that's the right thing to do, whether it's fun or not, when the record label's involved. Usually, most of the labels we work with, or that I work with, the bands that I work with, they usually don't really get too much into it, So luckily, it's not like back in the day where the record label.
I was going to say, I thought that the crappy deal I had, they dictate everything.
Oh, did they really?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm still under it, but it's just like the last 4 albums. We want to part ways so bad. It's just like, just record the damn songs and get it done. And that's what I meant. I'm on the last one, but yeah, way back, man. It was like.
I've heard horror stories. Yeah, I mean, I've heard situations where labels are just like, a lot of labels I've seen. They'll have like opinions on artwork and what the single is going to be, things like that. Most of the stuff I deal with is kind of on the extreme side, extreme progressive metal, extreme death metal, stuff like that. And so it's there's less kind of label interference with the material. But I've heard horror stories. I mean, it's particularly back in the new metal days. I mean, even band Swift, they were just we had label people trying to tell us we need to get more tattoos and consultant and all this stuff, it was...
Well, dude, tattoos and cocaine makes you cool,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's valuable advice, and I totally feel you. And if for the vocals, if I can plug anything, if you're used to doing a show like this and you have that bottom end like that, and you're used to hearing it, then when you go to record, you're going to record with that naturally, right? So I mean, that's why everything I send Jamie sounds like it's under a pillow, because that's how I'm used to hearing it. You got to retrain your ears to get out from that. So I mean, I can't offer any advice, but that's just where the scope I can imagine that's coming from.
Yeah, and having said that, there's no cookie cutter approach to these things. Like obviously, remember the band Power Man 5000. His vocals were really low and bassy, and that was kind of the sound. It does that low bassy vocal sounds cool in certain moments. Obviously, Phil from Pantera had those moments where he had a bassy talking moment. But for the primary vocal stuff, just so that it sits on top while not being completely separate from the mix. There's you don't want a whole lot of lows. A whole lot of lows seem to me kind of makes the vocals feel like it's separate from the mix of the vocals. I mean, of the instruments and stuff. And
a radio announcer then.
Yeah, exactly. But you listen to a lot of country. The guys are singing low tones, and it kind of works in country. But the country, the vocal is the feature, and they really want the vocal to be on top and almost separate from the music. The music's kind of background. Less so more now with this modern rock country stuff, but with the classic country, you do get that separation. But I think for this, the Carl Rising song here, I think maybe trim off some low end so the vocals aren't so separated and boomy on the low end. Trim off some highs, maybe a little bit of highs on the guitars. I would my instinct is to maybe dial back the effects a little bit on the vocals and the guitars. Like I personally love the 80s high effect type stuff.
Me too.
But if you have too much of it, it kind of can make the lyrics not intelligible, and it almost comes across like, hey, are you trying to like cover up some vocals or something like that? It's like a, I don't know. But like I said, the classic art, you go back and listen to classic bands from the 70s and 80s, especially when those effects came to the forefront. I mean, they were using those effects, man, and it was cool, you know. And it's
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
you would thicken it.
as a producer, it's really fun for me when I do have clients who are like, "Hey, man, rock me some chorus and some flanger and some reverse reverb, you know, and some
you get to
gated."
play, you know.
It's fun, you know, and a lot of modern music, you know, you don't. You know, you might use effects here and there, but really subtly. You know, it's really just dry and in your face drums and guitar and vocals. Like for the you know the Nickelback thing he wants me to do for another song that I'll be working on. You know, it's going to be really big Nickelback drums, really big like room sounds, almost stadium type reverbs will be on the drums, and but obviously if you want that kind of guitar sound, it's just pretty much dry. It's a straight, boogie with a 57 just cranked,
right.
And the vocals might have some echoes and stuff here and there, but they're pretty in your face too, hot, won't be a lot, they'll have a nice crisp, the pop stuff, you want the nice crisp top end, but there won't be a lot of the lows and things like that. So.
Well, there you go. I'm looking forward to hearing it when it's done. So if you're watching right now, I hope after he gets done with it, you pop it in the queue because,
I think he's got a video ready to go.
Do what?
Yeah, I think he's got a video ready to go for this song whenever we.
Oh, nice.
Had to find time to do it, but.
Well, he's clearly more organized than me. Wait until after the song's done. So. All right, so this. Excuse me. Yeah, that's great. Next one we got is submitted by someone named Christopher. The artist is Ndamukong. It's the letter N, then Damukong, excuse me, and the title is Being Swallowed.
This sounds good. I'm excited.
Next on OnlyFans. Anyway, the title is called Being Swallowed. I'm sorry I had to go. I'm going to try to shut up. This is supposed to be...
Something tells me this might be more evil than the other way.
Yeah, I know, right?
We'll see.
All right, anyway, here we go. And he says in the notes, or I'm sorry. It's hard to say because it's barely a 2-minute song, but I would say there are 26 to 110 and 129 to 153. All right, your wish is my command. And Jamie, if you need to flip now, I'm going to go ahead and cue that up to those points and do that right now. All right, and then 129 to 153. To the end of the song. All right, yeah. So just a reminder, you'll need to unmute. Yeah, dude, that was like some big sound on there. There you go. I believe you're unmuted now.
Okay, cool. But yeah. I mean, it's good to hear. You can tell it's got all like real drums and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a big sound at the end. That was kind of nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. Like classic, just almost got grindcore-ish, early punk, hardcore stuff. I mean, honestly, used to jam stuff like this. It seemed like kind of had vibes of the early Dillinger stuff, and but yeah, really cool. But I like the vocal tones. I think it's really that cool grit tone. There's interesting stuff with the panning going on. I really like that. The thing that kind of jumps out at me, maybe the drums are tuned a bit high for the sound. I mean, having said that, a lot of these classic bands during this time, they used to crank the snare and stuff. I feel like the kick drum noticeably has kind of got a boomy tom sound. I don't know if maybe a small kick drum was used. I'm kind of digging it because it's a different and original, but it's, it's not, if you wanted to go for more of a normal sound or more of a, what you're accustomed to with heavy stuff, or usually kind of bigger, lower tune, more bombastic sounds, maybe tune that kick drum down, a little less boomy for the tone. That would be something in tracking mainly. Obviously, right now that things have already recorded, there's not much you could do about the sound of the kick drum aside from resampling it using a sample like a big a lower kick sample maybe, or there is a trick where you can kind of you can find the resonant frequency that it's at, the low frequency, and pull that low frequency down, and find a lower fundamental frequency and boost that and kind of make the kick drum sound like it's tuned lower than it really is. You'd have to do some pretty extreme, really tight EQ points. It'd be hard for me to, I could show you if I had an ability to kind of show you an EQ. Maybe that's something you could possibly. Can these people possibly email me about if they want clarification?
I think I might be wrong, but I have a suspicion that band is actually in the chat right now. As they said, use a super small kick, no res head.
Yeah.
So if you want to just announce, I'll pop it in the chat here too. If you want to announce your email address.
Gotcha.
Go ahead and tell me. I don't have it memorized. So.
You're good. MachineJK at yahoo.com. That's MachineJK at yahoo.com.
There we go. I popped it in the chat too. So yeah, if you guys want to send him an email and then he'll send you what, like an EQ spec or something.
Yeah, there's a little EQ trick that could kind of make the and this is only if you wanted it to make it sound like a lower with a natural higher tuned kick drum. I've used this trick before. Like I said, obviously you could use a sample replacement, but it is cool in my opinion if it can sound good with real drums. It's always fun to do that. It just depends on what what kind of vibe you want. I think maybe using some lower tune drums more might give the material a little more weight and a little more heaviness if you did that. They sound like the toms are tuned high, but like I said, there again, it's all opinions. It's all it's all your personal preference. At the end of the day, there are lots of bands during that time, like I mentioned before, that did have that time. The guitars, I think they sound cool. They got kind of a a raw type, just almost a scratchy vibe, which kind of gives that a little flavor and intensity or whatever. But maybe, like I said, fatten the lows on the guitars a little bit, make those sound bigger. My instinct would be to make it kind of big and just bombastic with this style of music. It might have more impact. Make it sound even more crazy. Because
I like that word, bombastic. That's a good.
Yeah,
word.
I mean, yeah. But but having said that, I love I'm a big fan of jazz fusion and all kinds of that. And they tune the drums high, and it's very cool. And it's got having this high tunings kind of gives a little bit of that jazz. I don't know.
But he does have a question. Said no bass guitar is in it. Do you think it needs it?
I didn't even notice that. It's funny, the tones are thinner, but maybe that would be a good thing to try because that would add some weight. That would keep you if you don't want to thicken the guitar tone up, then maybe just add like a driven bass would make it nice and meaty and add some weight if you wanted to add some weight. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I like the drive on the vocals. There's some things maybe in the mastering you could do to add some weight to kind of shift the EQ. And that's something, if you want to email me, I can kind of give you some things there. Or, obviously if you hired me or somebody for mastering, you could hey, give me some more weight, and we could you could do kind of an EQ shift to kind of do that without having to change the source tones at all.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend you guys get this guy to either mix or, if it's already recording a final master, like my first few albums, he just had a full complete recording and just mastered it to industry standard. I mean, so it's definitely something to look into. So real quick, we just had a compliment from Twitch themselves. That said the score ratio is off the charts. I haven't seen it on a channel like mine, and let me scroll up, over 3 years. So we're doing something. I mean, I don't have like 1 million people in here, but we're doing something to some kind of ratio. So they said we should do this more often. I said, well, I'll talk to him. And also, Bree is calling me out in one of the posts I made. It was a joke, Bree. He's not going to tell you how to date a supermodel. So I made that joke, 3-4 weeks ago, and I'm getting called on it now. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, or do you want me to move on to the next one?
I think that's all I can think of at the moment.
All right. So this next one is George Beamer is bringing you the song Golden Apples, and it says a time frame between 0 and 1:30. Instruments hammered, dulcimer, and drums. I'm sure one of my main problems is that I feel like I need to do this when I do this. All right, there we go. I feel like one of my main problems is that I use GB to mix and master, but I want to use the strings. I want the strings to resonate as well as the drums to be powerful, but I think the frequencies are battling each other sometimes. I'm trying to get it loud, excuse me, without the drums being overbearing, but still present and strong. Note: hammered dulcimer is recorded with 2 condensers, AT 2020 and AT 2050. Drums are also used both. There's a lot to read on here. Both of those condensers are overheads, as well as Audix F6 for bass drum and Audix F2 for snare, recorded on Tascam DP24SD. Files are then taken to my CPU via SD card and transferred in a WAV file on GB to mix and master. This whole thing is also done with no click. I assume that's click track, and maybe being more precise could help everything line up better, and more control in mixing and mastering is the question. Wants to know if it would. And thank you so much, sincerely, George. All right, so we'll play 0 up to 1 minute and 30 seconds. If you want to go ahead and switch, we'll do that right now.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I love that. I mean, it's a very, very unique type of thing. Yeah, I can see publishing uses for that stuff big time. Like or even festival performances.
Apparently I was muted to them. Sorry, I was just reading the chat for those that didn't hear me. Thanks for letting me know.
Gotcha. Awesome. But yeah, as far as the tones, the dulcimer sounds great. I think I didn't notice anything, and I would change about that. I'm a drummer, so instinctively I'm like, crank those drums. I feel like, but maybe, obviously the hammered dulcimer should, if it's the feature, you can hear everything nice and clear. If you do turn up the drums, then you're gonna, it's gonna start kind of intruding on, some of the clarity of the notes of the hammered dulcimer. But I think that's, could be cool, to have the really just rocking drums. The drums sound a little bit separate from the hammer. You got the dulcimer and you got the drums almost kind of a separate. Either it's got a lot of room verb or some reverb on there. I could hear maybe possibly reducing some of that. Maybe reducing a little bit of the high end on the cymbals. I feel like maybe the cymbals are usually you need that amount of high end if you have like distorted guitars. But I think with the hammered dulcimer, you could warm up those cymbals a good bit more, and that would leave some space for the high frequencies of the hammered dulcimer to be clean and clear. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I think the drums sound really good there. Again, they sound like some real drums, and yeah, very very cool, very cool product.
Man. It's like worldly, you know. It's like
yeah, it might be good as it depends on the purpose. Like I said, if you're doing it from like a for a publishing use, I think maybe it's good the way it is, because you maybe want to feature that dulcimer and not have the drums too bombastic and take over the mix. But if you wanted people to rock out on it, just go ahead and crank the drums. I could see something like this being performed live, and have the drums nice and clear, and the dulcimer in there as well. And could be fun to throw a bass guitar or some sort of bass instrument in there to fill out those low frequencies. There again, there's gonna be some competition for the hammered dulcimer with that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it could be really cool. If you did have issues, there's a trick you can use to help stuff like the dulcimer cut through, or other acoustic, stringed instruments, things like that. You can add a little bit of saturation, or technically distortion, overdrive. Not so much that it sounds overdriven, but if you're like, hey, I can't really, I want these drums to rock, and you push the drums up, and then you're like, well, now I can't really hear a lot of definition in the melodic element of the dulcimer parts. You can add some harmonic distortions, and that'll help make those parts cut against the drums. If you have just electric distorted guitars, it takes up so much real estate because it's distorted. But you can actually use, a lot of people do this to bass guitar. Like if you put a bass guitar in a mix and it sounds great and present, has a lot of highs and mid frequencies by itself. If you put it in clean with the distorted guitars, you can't hear the bass. You can't hear the high frequencies at all. So most people add a little bit of drive, and we just went through this with the Peredy's. One of the songs, like the first song, we had the drive, the bass drive, and you could hear the bass guitar pronounced against the guitars clearly. And then the second mix, I guess the bass distortion part got left out.
Yeah.
So it still sounds good. The low end is there, but you can't hear the bass cutting in you can't hear it against the guitars as well without that slight bit of distortion.
And incidentally, that's because I've gotten old and I forgot to send him that file. And I'm blaming it on age, because I'm at that age where I can blame it on that now instead of just being dumb. But yeah, that's a good point with that, though.
Yeah, you could use it to your advantage. A lot of people wouldn't think to add distortion, but I've done it to, like, if you've got, a metal band that's got like, traditional drums, distorted guitars, bass, vocals, and then they're like, hey, I want to put an orchestra. If you just put a clean orchestra in with it, sometimes you can't really hear the parts clearly until you add some actual distortion or a little bit of drive to the orchestra stuff, or the piano, or things you wouldn't normally want to be distorted. But when if you did want to rock those drums up, the drum cymbals are, they're basically just white noise distortion sounds anyway. So once you bring those drums up, they're going to have those distortion percussive sounds to make the hammer dulcimer to be clear against that. You can add a little bit of drive and certainly get a balance. Nice.
And Dean, are you trying to say that we look alike, we sound alike, or we're both damn good looking? Dean says that he said, is it just me, or could these guys pass as brothers?
Rednecks, we're both rednecks.
Somebody actually called me a damn redneck because I said y'all. I said, actually, I grew up in New York, you dumb fuck.
You've been down here long enough to be corrupt.
Yeah, that's true. Then I had to dig the knife a little bit deeper. I said, well, in New York we had rednecks, but we called them mechanics up there. But,
yeah, I've seen the New York rednecks. They're there.
Yeah, they're there. They're just a different,
slightly different accent, but they're the
different
same
breed of them. All right, so yeah, good feedback on that. And this isn't my thing, but I got to tell you, I really enjoyed that. I'd be interested in hearing a lot more.
I love the variety that's coming in. I was expecting a bunch of just prog only stuff, so this is fun.
Right, it is, man. And
I love the prog too.
That's what I love about this show, man. Honestly, we get everything from rap to death metal, you know, country and everything. It's a lot of fun. All right, so this one's got a lot of reading, and we got somebody else said, all hail Jamie King, and this one also says it in the notes. This is from Pete Stroop. He's been in the show the whole time tonight. And,
I know this one. This is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, okay. And the song title is Euphoria. Now in the notes to you, he says, "Hails Jamie. This track is off my very first." Hold on, I'm gonna have to take a deep breath for this one. This track is off my very first solo CD, all instrumental in the vein of 80s shred and dedicated to all 80s guitarists who inspired me as a kid to play. I hope the whole track can be played, but if you have to pick a section from 2:20 to roughly 4 minutes is the main solo section and main melody sections. The melodies act like vocal patterns as far as the mix. Not much has been done. Got some basic EQs on the guitar and bass track, some compression on one bass track, and a little heavy limiting on the second bass track for punch. It's mixed without any real mastering other than a final EQ, a little compression to glue it together, and a master bus limiter to bring the volume up some. There is a little processing on the drums, some compression on the kick and snare tracks, as well as toms. They were EQ'd a little to get some mud out of it and clean. Excuse me. Wow. And clean up the drum tracks. I also blended in some samples along with the shells on the master drum bus. It's just has some compression on it. I may have used 10 plugins on the whole track, give or take. Doesn't matter when it's check out as far as time frame. Just let me know where I can listen to the show. And right, so you're already here, so I can skip that part, right? When it'll be played. It'd be cool if it could be played around the start of the show. So okay. Other than that, it doesn't really matter. I could have done more with the mix, but I like it. I also used all 80s era amp and instruments as well as 80s era reverb units. Gear I used was an old Carvin Master Tube Series head and an 80s era Carvin cab, an 80s PV bass, 80s Yamaha bass amp, and 1998 Pearl drum set and correct period and period correct. I'm already excited to hear this. Correct mics. I mean, everything is right up my alley so far.
Yeah, he was telling me that. And this is coming from a guy who normally does like death metal shreds.
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of his things, man. But
it'll be a little left field for people who know who this is and stuff.
I'm kind of baffled by this list of gear you're talking about, because it's not from what I would have gathered listening to you before. And to finish it off, it says, I also used my set of preamps for more of a vintage sound. I did add a little bit of compression on the guitars coming in from some simple high-end low shelf EQ, but all that was kept to a minimum. That's about it. If you listen closely, the guitar tones, man, what's going on with my throat today? The guitar tones right and left were recorded using different settings. Can be heard at the beginning and the end when guitar is dominant in the intro and intro and outro. And finally, he says the bass could use a little work, but all in all, I am pleased with my quick mix. And now I know what's wrong with my throat. I have a tendency lately to try to actually sing when I'm doing the music videos, because people, I got tired of getting called out. All you're doing is lip syncing. And, you know, you sing the same song.
How else are you supposed to do it?
I mean, that's what I did for all my other music videos, but just to shut people up, I actually sang along with it this time. And I was using goofy faces, but after 30 times singing that, yeah, it gets a little rough. All right, so I don't even remember what time he said pick a section roughly 2:20 to 4. All right, so that's what I'll do. I'll cue this up to 2:20 and go to 4 minutes right there. All right, well, it's at 2:18, but that's close enough. All right, so I'm going to play this right now.
Shred-tastic, man. I, I love it. I was waiting for you have to be able to go, wow, for this project anyway.
Again, damn it. All right, sorry. Thanks, Metalhead, for letting my assistant. He's on top. He's like, you're muted again. Yeah. So what I was saying, dude, is I'm jealous, man. I want to join your band, but Jamie said that you'd have to do the wah thing. Yeah, I would totally have to fake that.
Maybe not. I don't know, but yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, Jamie, take it away, man. It's yours. Holy shit.
Yeah, if you listen to his other stuff, it doesn't sound like that. But
well,
yeah,
I've heard it on my phone. I never got to hear it right, So.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, check out some of his other stuff. He's got another record in the pipeline for me to mix that's quite extreme heavy. So, but anyway, like I said, I love this. The main motif riff of this song sounds similar to a riff I had in one of my bands in during high school era or whatever. I mean, it's really similar. It's crazy, but so this is that's a lot in line with a lot of stuff I grew up. So I mean, as far as the mix, I mean, it's pretty true to the classic sound. I feel like that's the old cassette mixes because cassette back in the day, and vinyl to a degree as well, but cassette actually boosts the low end and reduces the high end. So a lot of the cassette mixes had to be really kind of bright and so that way when you put it to cassette, it kind of balances out and be the way that you want it to be. And this feels like it would be perfect to go straight to cassette because it's got some high, it's got the sizzly sheen but everything during this era, if you want to be period correct, that's the way it sounded. That's the way it needs to sound. It needs to have the high end. Having said that, I do some remastering and remixes for like the classic styles, but just kind of bringing it up to modern spec as far as the overall EQ and the aesthetic for the modern, like a new generation of classic metal listeners. We've been doing a lot of that with Die Bomb Records and Heaven and Hell Records, and there's a few other labels and some specific bands where we'll take their classic material, classic records, and remaster them. Stuff from this era, even prior to this era of music, and remaster them for modern, specs. If we did that, then obviously for this, I mean, all we would need to do is beef up the low end a bit, maybe reduce the highs, maybe dial back the effects a little bit or something like that. If you wanted it to have the 2024 version of production, but yeah, I mean,
so in like a month and a half, you're fucked because that's going to be a new. It's 2025 in a month. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they changes all the time. But yeah, as far as there's no individual tweaks I could think. The guitar shred tone's great, the rhythm tone's great, good bass sound, good drum sounds. It's got really classic. You can hear that he used the period correct stuff, and it just sounds like it's supposed to sound. To me, I came from that period, so
Yeah.
Because I think about the tones that I used to go for, like we're talking prior to Swift, prior to '99. I had a band. Well, go ahead and laugh at this name. It's hilarious. It's called Spirits Whisper. It was with Lee Myers.
I think I have this. I think I have a tape or a CD or something.
Well, we technically never released anything to the public. I don't think.
Was it a demo then or something? Maybe you
could be. Yeah,
we had maybe you or Lee gave it. And Lee told me all about it. And I think
if you got it
upon time.
Never anything we sold, but yeah, I mean it's in the high school era. It is really along the lines of that stuff or whatever, and those are the type of tones that we were trying to go for. Those sharp, guitar tones with the teeth. It wasn't a big. Like today, you hear the big meaty round, kick drum with a lot of low end weight. I wanted the clicky kick drum back in the day. I wanted the kick drum that had the
Metallica.
But Pantera and the click. The cymbals. I wanted the high crisp. That was like the desirable sounds and stuff. So I mean, and this is like right in line with what I would have wanted for my own band back in the day. So I guess all I could say is if you did want to make a version for 2024, maybe just skew that EQ, just kind of boost the lows and warm up and smooth out the highs. A lot of modern mixes have less cymbals. You know, that's kind of a trend. I don't personally have a preference either way. You know, I get some artists who they want this. The drummer wants to hear every nuance of his cymbals, and the cymbals are loud. But if you listen to a lot of modern metal stuff, I mean, the cymbals have got, you know, like the Lamb of Gods, the Gojiras, and all these modern metal productions. The cymbals are way just dark, and you can hear them. You can definitely you can listen for them, but they're not. The goal for modern stuff is they're trying to turn on, like, I think there's a notion that there's the modern. The new generation of metal listeners, that's the one thing they never liked about metal is the screeching highs. You know, and everybody loves low frequencies for the past 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it's been. You know, it's like the whole, you know, in metal back in the day, it did have a lot of screeching highs. Like I liked it. You know, we used to call the pain frequencies of Pantera. And, you know, you listen to those old original mixes, and it would hurt your ears when Dimebag would do the dive bomb, you know. Like, that's the point, you know.
Right, that's the point. It's supposed to make your ears bleed, you know.
But nowadays, there's like a goal to do the absolute opposite. It's you know, some of these modern mixes, they're almost too dark and they're almost too warm. There's so much, it's almost like muddy on some systems. So I personally don't like to go too far in that direction, but I do understand that argument in terms of like there is some validity, I think, in making it as pleasant as you know, as listenable as possible, especially when you're competing with other genres. You know, obviously like pop music and country. You know, you don't have these pain frequencies. You don't have these screeching guitars and screeching cymbal. You know, these really harsh cymbals, frequencies, and stuff in those mixes. And so I think, you know, to make to make metal more listenable for a new generation, it might be a good idea to kind of consider, like, hey, let's skew the EQ a bit and then soften the highs and thicken up the lows. Maybe, you know, if it makes it appeal to a new generation of listeners and keeps pushing more metal forward, I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's constantly what I'm doing too. Sometimes I think, man, you know, I gotta get in. I hear all these new songs that people request, and I'm like, I have to have that Peredy sound for this album for everything is, but I want to push kind of this new, you know, trying to find that blend is so hard to get. And honestly, dude, as awesome as that was, I can absolutely, and I'm not doing a selling point here, I swear to God, but I almost want to sponsor it. If I had the money, I would, to give Jamie that track and see what the final result would be after he does his thing, you know? Because I mean, that sound right there. I mean, oh my God, I so bad.
It might come through here. I think he was talking about doing a record. It might come through here in some fashion.
Please,
at some point.
please drop it in my queue or send me a link when it does. I very much want to hear it. All right, so let's get on to this next one. This is from Fernando Guerrero. If I'm saying it right, I'm terrible at names. The artist is Aeonic Impulse. I think, have we not had you on the show? I think
possibly, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've done work for these guys before.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
He said, aha. I'm sure everybody picks on how I pronounce everything horribly. Aeonic Impulse, I'm pretty sure I recognize the name. Featuring Aaron Soljay and Max Reed III. And the song title is Spider System of a Down cover. Okay. And in the notes it says, looking for a general mixed feedback is sonically, this is the direction I'm in, and I've been at this for less than 3 years. Jamie mastered this for me, so he's heard it. Haha. Any further suggestions would be appreciated. Thanks a bunch for doing it. So I take it this is a master you did, and I'm assuming he just wants to follow up maybe on some more tips. Then all right.
Yeah, I think
didn't give a ton. Sorry.
I say if this is the one that I've heard before, it's killer. So I might not have anything to lend, but. We'll jam to this. We'll let everybody hear it. I think it's going to be cool.
Usually when we get some in the show and I recognize the name, that means it's had some kind of impact on me. No time frame was specified, so I'll just let you give me a cutoff whenever you're done here. Okay, here we go.
Piercing radiant moon, the storming of Port June, all the life running through approaching guiding light, or shallow years in fright. Dreams are made winding through my head. Through my head. Before you know your lives are open wide. The feature gives them sight of all the life running through her head. The spiders all in tune, the evening of the moon. Dreams are made winding through my head. Through my head. Before
Holy shit, dude. You're muted, man.
Sorry. Yeah, like I said, man, it's a great cover.
Yeah.
All the tones are great. Everything. I mean, it's really hard to pick anything out. I mean, the only thing I want to say, I remember, I feel like there's some guitar intonation issues that I hear. So it's not really anything production wise. Some tuning stuff going on, and obviously, that's a challenge for all of us at all times. Especially especially when you got guitars that tune low and things like that. But I hear some possible guitar intonation stuff, and then maybe there's some volume stuff. And I know this is a really difficult song in terms of volumes with the vocals, because you got that low singing intro stuff, and then you go into the loud stuff. To me, I probably need to go back and listen to the original. There could be some stuff Twitch does to the audio, possibly.
Oh yeah, there's compression and all these.
Yeah, I think maybe that may be what I'm hearing, but it just feels like you got the beginning vocals are like really good in the mix, and then when the loud stuff comes up, the loud stuff actually gets a little lower. So maybe it's something that Twitch is doing, but I can go back and listen to the original, see if that. I don't know, because normally when I master people's stuff, if I notice something, I'll usually hey, the chorus vocals could use a bump or whatever. So it may not have been in the original mix or whatever. But yeah, in this particular, listening through this thing, it sounds like the louder vocals get actually quieter, and that's usually the opposite kind of the dynamics where you would want it to go. Obviously the loud moments, you don't want it to get too loud. You want it to stay pretty even. But the big moments, you want it to be dynamic, a little louder as far as the overall vocal, or at least the same level. But yeah, I didn't really notice any tones. The drums are kind of more of a modern produced sound than obviously the original song is a little more raw as far as the drums sound, because he's it's just during the era that they did it, and working with Rick Rubin, and I'm assuming this record was done with him. He's really big on just raw, what the band sounds like in the room kind of sounds, not really heavy EQ and things like that normally. But yeah, I like it when bands do a cover song and they do it in their style. It's like, I think that makes sense, unless you're trying to showcase like how you can emulate the sound of another band, whatever, which, there's some, this doesn't sound crazily different, it's like but it's got its own spin on it, which I think is a really good thing, but yeah, I can't really think of anything else other production wise. So I didn't hear any issues.
The only thing I'm going to correct you on, Jamie, you said that we all have problems with the tuning guitar. I don't. I'm perfect. I don't know if anybody No, that's a fact. That's a damn fact. Yeah, I think you did an excellent job on it, like, overall. But the page that I sent you that one link to, I can leave it up there if you want to listen to it later and send them an email or whatever.
Yeah.
So
one thing I'll say about the tuning thing that maybe people listening here, I always, obviously you want to get your guitar set up or intonated, either learn how to do it yourself or have a professional do it. But one thing I do is I tune fretted, like I'll fret around the 5th or 7th fret on the guitar, and I'll tune those notes instead of tune the open string. I usually use a pretty precise strobe tuner by Peterson. It's their strobo tuner. It's like, it's not the strobo flip's like almost too accurate. It's like accurate to the 100,000th or something. So it'll never say anything's in tune. But this other one is the strobo stomp is actually what it's called, and it's accurate to the 100th. So get something for studio recording. It's like, I think that's really good. It's just don't, like most of your live studios, even your digital plug-in tuners, a lot of that stuff may be like only 5 cent accurate or 1 cent accurate, which is good. It'll get you in the ballpark. But if you get something a little more accurate and then tune it fretted and tune it at the played velocity, like hit the string like you're going to be hitting it in the song, those little things can make a huge difference in if you're, and then also, I mean, some of you may be familiar with the Evertune guitars. If you're a guitarist that has a really heavy hand or intends to bend strings, either you can use thicker strings to kind of combat that tendency to bend the notes, or you can use an Evertune guitar, and that way when you're going from chord to chord, if you're really gripping the neck or whatever, you can. When people record with me, it's like if they're playing a guitar and they've got light strings, and we're having an issue with a riff, and I have an Evertune guitar here, or I have strings on hand. It's like, hey, let's use some heavier strings for this song or this part or whatever we got to do, so that you can play it and it be played in tune. Because it may be a situation where that guitar was in tune. It's just, however, those octave chords or whatever he's playing is being gripped. It might be bending it sharp. There's some chords that are just hard to change into without bending notes and things. So, little stuff like that or whatever. I mean, the average listener probably wouldn't notice things like that, but I'm just tuned to just hyper focus on tuning. And
you got that 1/1,000,000% you were talking about already in your head.
Yeah, I let it drive me crazy. It's just like the intonation. I've learned to accept more, because it doesn't have to be perfect. The guitar won't play perfectly in tune. A normal guitar, particularly like a Gibson or something like that, it's not going to play in tune 100%. So I've learned to live with, the sharp thirds and things like that. But it's, there's some things, little, you want it to set, you don't want to bend your ear. It's like if it's a little too out of tune, you're just kind of like, somebody who's, somebody like me, there's a few of us. yeah, I hear it. And the same thing in vocals, like, there's a lot of, like a lot of people, of course, I know you don't like vocal tuning and stuff like that, but, there's a certain, if you're not within that threshold, then you're kind of like, you might be turning people off by not having the vocals tuned or not tracking it again until it's closer to pitch and things like that. And it depends on the genre of music and stuff too. But yeah, people are more accustomed these days. There's been 20 years of almost perfect productions, and people are kind of accustomed to hearing things a little better than like what you would hear live, on a record. And it's maybe it's unfortunate, maybe whatever, however you want to look at it, but it's just, you have to accept that's a reality. Like I said, if some people will hear it, and it'll be a great production, great song, but something will be like I said, it'll kind of tweak your ear, and it'll just turn somebody off the whole song. They're like, oh, this sucks, it's just like St. Anger's snare. That's just
oh my God, that disaster.
Lots of people have ring in their snare. That's just too much ring. If they would have dialed it back, nobody probably would have said anything. But it's just, it went over the line. That's the thing with guitar tuning, vocal tuning, all this stuff. You can't go over. There's a certain threshold. It's like, okay, now it just sounds bad, or whatever.
Right. Well, too much of anything is a bad thing. I mean, once upon a time, that little ring in the snare was a cool. I mean, I think even in the
Listen to Thoughts of Thought.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
I took it out of the remix because I used to love it. But then as I got older, especially in the production, I realized how much of a distraction it can be in the mix to the song when you have this constant boom, 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 every snare hit. It's like I got to the point where I couldn't hear the song because it was just like, like this is complete. As a
It's
drummer,
distracting a little bit.
that's what I wanted as a drummer.
Right.
I want to be I want to be the focal. But if you listen to the song, sometimes, especially if the pitch is not in key with the song, it just started driving me insane. So I personally usually don't do ringy snare drum sounds unless the client wants that specifically, because I feel like it. Not that I don't like it. It sounds great acoustically oftentimes, but in the mix, it can get really distracting really quick, and then turn into like you can have it in there, but it has to be kind of low. It's the same thing with that with guitar tuning. You can have some stuff out of tune, but there's a threshold where it's like, okay, now it just sounds out of tune. Same thing with vocal tuning, things like that. To sound professional, it has to be within a certain threshold. It's hard for me to explain or define what that threshold is, but
I'd be curious to hearing your remix, because I still got the original one on my computer and the CD in my closet.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. I've got both. I've got the remasters of the original, because I know a lot of the classic fans, everybody always likes what they fell in love with. So
right.
I've got all the original mixes remastered that has the ring and the snare, and then it's got the 2019 remixes. They're all on Spotify, Apple, and all that stuff. And then it has, it doesn't have the ring and the snare. So
yeah, and incidentally, Lovesick, it's an intimidating fucking song, dude. I mean,
it's not as difficult as you think. It's just got weird. It's the sixth chord thing. I can show it if you were here. I could show it to you easily.
Oh my god, man! It's like
Gary actually wrote that.
Oh Jesus, dude! It's like, and these guys had the unfortunate night of me trying to do the vocals live one time. Now they all said, "Oh, it sounded good," but I think they were just, letting my drunk act, because I was buzzing pretty hard.
That's a pretty tricky song to sing, I guess, because the falsetto.
Honestly, it's the guitar that's clenching me. But anyway, all right. Me and you can talk about that later. So, did you have anything else to give on that, or you want to move on to the next one?
I think next one, yeah. I mean, that's
okay.
A great mix.
All right. So this next one is came in from Dennis. The artist's name is Orphan, and the song is "Protect the King." And they said, just fuck it. Really just want to know how to make punchier bass without overflowing the song with lows. Now, since this is mostly about you anyways, I have to go pee, so I'm going to play this and let you hear it, and then I'll come right back, okay?
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm switching over now.
All right. I'm not muted, right? Okay. That's actually something I've always wanted to write. Something like that.
all this, yeah. I know this guy as well. He's amazing songwriter, and yeah, this is a killer song, man. But yeah, I can't remember. You said something about he wanted to know something about the bass guitar.
He said, really just want to know how to make punchier bass without overflowing the song with lows.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about bass guitar, honestly, this mix sounds great overall. Great tones, nice, crisp, modern vibe, and I know that he's going for that kind of thing anyway. But yeah, as far as the bass guitar, I don't know. The bass is kind of a difficult thing. If you want like that super modern, really bass heavy thing, there's a couple of tricks you could implement. Some of you guys may have heard of like side chaining compression on the bass and the kick drum, so that basically you can.
He said, "Yeah, bass guitar." Sorry to interrupt you. He put in the chat.
So that was bass guitar. Okay, yeah, but yeah, you could do that. Because part of the problem when you have a really thick bass guitar tone and you have a really meaty kick drum sound, they're obviously sharing some of the same frequencies. Unless you have some synthesizers and stuff that have a lot of lows also. That's usually the two things that are going to be occupying those low sub frequencies, particularly around 40 hertz, 80 hertz, as much into like 150 or whatever possibly. So they got to share. So if you want your kick drum to be super meaty and your low bass guitar or low bass synth, if you have synthesizer, this can apply, and this applies heavily in electronic music as well. They usually want that to be huge. So what some people do is they'll set up a sidechain compressor. They'll set it on the bass guitar channel, and they'll key the compression off the kick drum, so that when the kick drum hits, it turns the bass guitar down. So the compressor is not actually looking at the bass guitar itself; it's actually reading the kick. So that the compressor is only affecting the bass guitar. That compressor's, even though it's reading the kick, it's not affecting the kick sound at all. So that's a trick. And I mentioned earlier about dealing with harmonic distortions. And if you want actual bass presence, and some people talk about bass punch, in terms of clarity. Then, like I said, there again, another common thing. Obviously, a lot of people run, especially anything with distorted guitars, and if you want really smooth, just really thick, constant sounding bass, you want to run a lot of compression on the bass, pretty much get rid of all the dynamics almost. And then if you want extra cut and extra punch to the tone, then obviously, a lot of people employ, like, they'll run another track of like a drive bass with it, just with a little distortion or a little overdrive or something like that. That way you'll get some cut against the guitars and the other higher frequency. That gives the bass guitar some higher frequency information to use in the mix.
He's writing in here now, and honestly, Dennis, I think me and you could both benefit from this one, because it looks like he's running through a plugin like I do. He said Amplitude 5 will never be like a real cab, right? I can tell you right now, no, it won't.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, like, I've learned with
close,
Yeah, I've learned with the EQ matching stuff. I mean, it's almost identical sounding, really. Like you can use a plug-in, you can use a cabinet, and you can almost EQ it the same. And it's there's going to be subtle different. If in solo you can hear subtle differences in a like, say, a distortion through an amp is going to have a certain saturation. It's going to be, because you'd have to manually match the saturations, like if you want drive or distortion. There's always going to be slight variances in that. But as far as the overall EQ, you could use a plug-in, you could use an amp, you could use an amp emulation, and honestly, just with really precise EQ match, you can get them to sound pretty much exactly the same. So yeah, I mean, I think you could get a great sound with that. But yeah, I mean, there's other great. I mean, I really like Joey Sturgis. I use his bass. He's got the the graphics are kind of cheesy to me because it's like all 666 and like Satan. It's fun or whatever. But
those plugins crack me up, man. The shreddage one I use, it's got like Jason or not Jason, but Freddy Krueger written like the letters are clawed through it and it's on fire.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's like they make the plugin look like appeal to 13-year-olds. I mean, maybe that's the market, but it sounds killer. I mean, it crushes, and it's inexpensive. It's what is it called? Hellraiser or
a Hellraiser? Yeah. I seen the Hellraiser. I actually wanted to try it for the guitar.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pull up a session.
That's
here
supposed
in a
to. It's supposed to be after the Schecter. It's supposed to.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it sounds like Ampeg kind of to me, like kind of mix of dark glass and stuff like that. But it has really good natural thick sound. Jens Bogren has his Ampeg bass, and it's got a nice thick, natural sounding bass. I mean, there's loads. The Parallax bass, the Neural DSP Parallax bass, amazing. I mean, there's tons of great sounding. Bass plugins out there, but I mean, like I said, they really can all sound super similar with some EQing. But in terms of like plug and play, really easy. That Jens Bogren, the Joey Sturgis, the Parallax bass, you can just throw it on and pick a cool preset, and usually got a nice. If you have a good sounding bass, I will say, with bass guitar, it's critical to have your bass, whatever your bass sounds like, because if you have an inexpensive bass, it's one of those things with like some cheap, just kind of hollow, thin sounding pickups. I mean, it's just going to have that kind of sound, but yeah, for the modern thing, you definitely want some active, just really, really full range, modern pickups, sound from the bass itself, or use a program that has samples from those basses that are really good as well. Some people do. There's a trick. Some of these modern guys they'll actually record a bass guitar, but the actual low sub frequencies are actually programmed sine waves, so that the sub bass is really thick and consistent. It's not actually, because when anybody, especially a bass player, plays fingerstyle or pick style on certain notes, the bass has a certain amount of percussive element to it. So when you play the bass guitar, when you hit the pick or when you hit the string, there's the sine wave stops. The sine wave that's being produced by the bass stops. So some people will blend that with a sine wave program that doesn't stop. That it might have the same rhythm, but that'll give you that super consistent, thick kind of sound or whatever that some people are actually looking for that modern, super consistent, beefy stuff. But yeah, as far as this mix, I think the overall mix is really good. I mean, not much I could lend on. The only thing I kind of noticed was there's a lot of stereo going on the vocal, and it actually sounds really cool. And I used to do this a lot in my personal stuff. Obviously you probably know from the old Swift stuff, all the choruses were panned left, right, and stuff like that. It's one of those things it's tough to do now because there's so many all your little JBL. What do you call those things? The little speaker systems that you buy at Target or whatever that everybody uses now. But anyway, and your phones,
like monitors.
Yeah, just people that listen to music. What do they call those things? The speakers. But anyway, basically the personal speakers that most people are using, either their phones or these little tube speakers, or they kind of, even though they have stereo audio, they're kind of mono, and some of them actually they sum the audio to mono. So you're actually not hearing stereo. That doesn't affect pop stuff or other styles of. My camera's. I need to tape this thing.
He's getting a mosh pit right there at his desk.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't affect most pop music. So the JBL and these other designers that make these like personal speaker systems, they just don't. They know normal people, or I wouldn't say normal people, but I would say they know that the people who listen to pop music. They don't care about stereo because there's not much going on in stereo with pop music, right, or electronica or other stuff. But metal and rock, it relies on stereo. You got the wide pan guitars and things like that. But one thing, like I said, you have to consider when you're mixing for the modern market is usually the vocals, you want to keep those. you want a primary vocal up the center at all times. And I noticed in this mix he had like a stereo effect or like panned maybe doubles or something like that. And even though it sounds cool, it's just anytime that's going to be played back on a phone or one of those regular mono summing devices that are unfortunately so popular, it could mess up your vocal sound. It could give your vocal sound like this weird phase. I've heard it in my productions as well. I've had some of my clients complain about it, like, hey, because I used to do that, and they're like, my chorus just sounds hollow. And what was happening is that device was collapsing the mix mono. So when the chorus came in, the vocals were partially canceling out, or it gave it like a weird like mid-range comb filtering effect or something. And so nowadays basically like pretty much, I mean, you have to just do because of the quantity of consumer. Luckily, I think a lot of your phones are actually going full stereo nowadays.
My Galaxy does, but honestly, see, I'm still using a 1998 Sony home stereo amplifier in here for its regular stereo, and I cannot get myself to do these modern stereo. I just can't do it. So they're calling this Galaxy stereo sound. It might be, but it's still a phone. It's like, I mean. I do want to say real quick, Dennis just said that you're going to be mixing and mastering his stuff. So is there like any thing he should be doing with that mix before he sends it to you then, that being said?
I almost don't need to mix this. It sounds great. It sounds, I mean, there's nothing I heard in that that jumps out. I might touch up some intonation on the vocal stuff here and there. But yeah, all the instrumentation sounds great. The tones are great. I mean, nice and crisp, and the vocals are amazing on that. I mean, they sound great, and the songwriting, everything, it's there.
Yeah, and he said, Peredy, I'm a fan of your that, right back at you. So cool. I don't know if he was already a client, but maybe we got you a new one. I don't know. Poopy Locks, first of all, I love your screen name. That's hilarious. And I'll ask him at the end of this. Stay with us, and when we get done, I'll ask him. Jamie, I know I'm taking up a lot of your time, but if you don't mind me piggybacking off of his real quick, just real quick question for my own stuff, because I also go through that. Now, I have a distortion bass track along with my regular bass track. The purpose of me doing that, I haven't done it in the past, but just trying to get that little bit of edge on there. I'm trying to bring up more of the mids and a little bit of fuzzy on the bass, but keep the original bass. Am I sabotaging it, or am I getting that what I'm looking for? I mean, what you're doing is great. I love the end result, but is it necessary?
It's not necessary. It just depends on what kind of sound you like. But I think, like I said, we did the first song, and I like that you could hear the bass pretty clearly against the guitar. You have a wall of guitars.
Yeah, I got a wall of air guitars too, but
but it's it's a thick guitar palette. So if you want to hear the bass in the mix, and having that extra drive kind of helps. Okay. Because I know your regular bass tone has a good clank to it already.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Man. It's actually just it's what they refer to the guitar of basses. It's the SG. It's supposed to. It's very fast. It's a micro. I love it more than any bass I've ever held, man, because it's just it feels like a guitar bass. Yeah, they always had that classic sound. You listen to like like the classic Korn. He had that real clanky bass. Yeah. He didn't run any distortion, but like I said, they had they would just turn his bass guitar up. He had no mids, and it was just all clank and all lows, and it gave it a unique sound. But in your case, your guitars are more, are thicker than like what Korn would have had or whatever, and more full range on the EQ and stuff. The guitar, Korn's guitars were all mids, and the bass was all treble and lows, so it worked together. But in your case, keep it going the way it is. Then, if it's not sabotaging anything, because honestly, all I'm doing is replicating the track and adding the effect on it.
Yeah, I think if it's just like I said, all this is all subjective opinion, and I'm a real advocate for if you have a sound, if like, hey, this is my sound and nobody else sounds like this, and it actually sounds good, then I say just keep rolling with it. If it doesn't sound good, then don't keep rolling with it. Even
right.
The original's not always a great thing. Sometimes things haven't been used for a reason. But yeah, in this case, like I said, I mean, it's I think adding that extra, drive distortion track, it just adds to it. It certainly didn't take anything away from anything. So
cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. See, Maybe I should give you half of your money back because I just wrote off yours. I don't know. So this next one is Siggy Son. Now this one's kind of special to me because it's kind of like passing the torch with this guy. Through all the mentoring you've done with me over the years, this guy's kind of my protege. He sends tracks and puts them in the queue, and every time I give him a little bit of advice, hey, try this, and he comes back, and this guy has improved so much. I'm so proud of this guy, like for real. He's okay with admitting he's got a long way to go, but he's gotten so far. I mean, like when he first came to me, everything sort of was like that, and now it's not. Now I will tell you that the instrumentals he buys, he's a vocalist. He buys them off of somebody made it through AI or other instrumentalists. So the feedback you're going to get for him, he's not able to watch right now. He'll watch the recorder later. Is going to be on the vocal thing, and he said to pick between 105 and 205. So 1 minute of this, and it's Till the Day Collapses is his artist name, and Void of Life, and he's out of Germany too. So this is kind of cool. But let me cue that up right here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this if you're ready.
Sweet.
Chasing the shadows of tomorrow, when the sun never breaks, shedding sorrows hollow, shedding those of the light, we fight to survive. Oh, the depths are calling, but I'm in below. Like the burst of despair, when the shadows go, the sense I will watch your fear.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what I was saying. We're going to stop us. This is Twitch stopped for whatever reason.
Oh, did
but
it?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, but I heard. Yeah, it sounds great. I mean, overall, I mean his vocal tone sounds really good. The EQ sounds good, and as far as recommendations, obviously, like this mix is really large sounding mix. It's got a big subby type sound, and since the mix is really big, I feel like the vocals kind of are really just dry and in your face. Which maybe that contrast is really good, but to make the mix kind of tie the vocals in with the mix, I'd say put a little bit of maybe a slight bit of verb, maybe some echo on there. I mean, that's really all I could hear. That would put the vocals in the same space with the music, since the music is so large, and the music it doesn't sound super personal. It doesn't sound like it's right in your ear or whatever. So but having said that, a lot of people do that. They'll have the drums in a big room, and then the guitars will be dry, and then the vocals will be on the mountaintop. It's like, but when I mix, I tend to try to think of, I think the artist on their, it should just sound like a studio. They're in a studio, so everything's dry and in your face and personal. Or is the audience on a stage? Or is the artist on a stage, is the band on a stage or whatever? Is that the sound? I try to put everything in kind of a similar environment. Of course, obviously we use the special effects with a delay throw here and there, or maybe a bigger reverb here and there to create like some pseudo dynamics. But yeah, I mean that's the only thing I hear. It's like it's just a really big mix. So maybe he can to make the vocals seem like they're in a similar space, throw a little bit of verb on there. Maybe some echo. Yeah.
All right, sweet. Yeah, this guy just it's kind of like watching a kid grow up. It's like when he first came in and he was doing I was like, and every time I tell him, look, this is what I learned from Jamie over the years. I always start with that, and then he's been progressing a little bit, and I'm like, okay, now you're ready to EQ. Once we got past he would either be so low that you couldn't hear him at all, or he'd be overpowering so bad you couldn't hear the music. And once we got past that, I was like, all right, now let's work on some EQ,
We all start from somewhere, we all start from that same place. And, there's a few people that I've known who are they're born better than everybody else. And they just were able to master mix like right out of the gate. But most of us.
That was me. I just pretend to be bad so that people don't expect anything of me. It's
make people not feel bad. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, geez, Peredy's just too good for me to even hear it. So, you know, I dump my. No, I'm kidding. Some of these people that don't know me are gonna be like, wow, this guy's got an ego trip. All right, and Poopy Locks would like to know if there's time for one. We got two more in here. I'll totally leave it up.
Sure.
You know, it is okay to submit one more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Poopy Locks, if you want to go, I'll drop you the link in the chat, and I'm gonna say that'll be the last one though, guys, because we do have to get to the queue for the regular show too. But see, I got some people can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I can't type and talk at the same time. Yeah. So in case I typed that wrong, this is the playhouse.rocks/Jamie King. And all the instructions and everything are right there. But yeah, go ahead. I would highly recommend you do it before we get done with these last two, though. All right, so the next one we got is Joshua Needham, and the artist is Availed, and the song is called Strange Times. And Joshua says, instrumental track from band, play 115 through 3 minutes. Avail out of San Antonio, Texas. We're a new band, and the early stages of preparing our self-titled album, which is why you won't hear any vocals on this demo. Thanks again, Jamie, and all involved in this. Yeah, so go ahead and thank your little minions you got running around your studio. And all right, so I'll go ahead. I'll cue this up to 115 now. And gotcha. Here we go. Wow, talk about big sound.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
Big. Yeah,
it's great idea. Yeah, I'm stoked to hear this with vocals. I mean, it's set up perfect.
Me
for
too.
I mean, any vocalist should be able to just crush over this. But yeah, the tones and everything sound great. The only thing that sticks out to me, I feel like the snare drum might be thin. If you're actually, you call this a demo, so I don't know if you're actually looking for mix tweak input or whatever.
He's the guy. I'm trying to point my finger right. Wait a minute, this way. the thing's usually I have it mirrored. So wait a minute, this way.
Oh, gotcha. There you go.
There you that guy. Yeah. You know what? I ruined that moment. Go ahead.
No, but yeah, the snare is just a little thin. Maybe beef up the snare. Like I said, and there again, there could be some weird compression. They definitely hear like the MP3 swirl effect on the high stuff. So I'm pretty sure there's some kind of stuff happening to the audio with the Twitch. But other than that, I mean, it sounds really good. Yeah, I mean, I can't really. What's nice about this is you can hear the keys nice and clear. That's not easy to achieve always with a good thick guitar tone or whatever, is to get the keys to sound clear. But like I said, if you had some stuff where the keys weren't coming through and you want the keys to be very pronounced in a mix with distorted guitars, there again you can add some saturation, some slight overdrive distortion to the keys. That sometimes can help. And but yeah, I would just mainly just fatten up that snare drum. I think that's the only thing I would have for that.
All right, sweet, nice. And yeah, YouTube is the absolute worst for sound compression. They butcher the shit out of it.
Yeah, it could be that making it sound weird, but yeah.
Unfortunately, TikTok is actually in the lead of the least bad compression right now, and it's the last place I like to put anything. But when you're uploading stuff, Twitch is coming. They used to be a lot better. but they're coming in a close second to YouTube here lately. But you know, everybody's trying to pinch that penny of bandwidth and everything. So
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean,
but like I said, I'll leave that page up. Only me and you have that link, so I'll leave it up if you want to hear it later. I definitely recommend getting this guy. And honestly, Dean, I think you should hook up with Dean. This guy in chat, he's got a voice like an angel. Like you talking like your '80s power song, you know, vocals. I think you'd be great on that. All right. Anyway. All right. So this is the last one in here right now. And, oh my God, I forgot the name. It was Poopy something. Poopy Locks.
That's great.
Dude, there was one of their screening was Spank Me Daddy, and I was like, how can I say that out loud? I mean, come on. Anyway, I would definitely get that submitted now if you want to get it in, because we're on the last of the list. This is from Matt Redman, and the artist is Kind, and the song title is Infinite Life. It says, hey Jamie, the time to play is between 2 minutes and 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I used a lot of the techniques you discussed on your Nail the Mix live stream.
Yep.
I'm mainly wondering how to maintain a big snare sound for the heavy part right at 3 minutes. All feedback is appreciated. Sincerely, Matt. All right. So 2 minutes. Okay, let me
check it out. Switch it over.
All right, here we go.
Secretly inept, blind following blind, way out of our depth, we soon come to find billionaire businessman buying our brains. If you don't think you can listen, then there's one thing I have to say.
Yeah, I actually goofed. That will play 15 seconds longer than he said, and I guess I was just rocking that so much, man. Holy
that's
shit.
Great. Yeah, this dude does great stuff. But yeah, man, this mix is I mean, it's a great mix overall, I think. But yeah, you're talking about the snare. I mean, that's a tricky thing, like I said, because obviously mix music with this amount of dynamics. There's a couple different approaches. I mean, obviously, there's sometimes as things get thicker, you can just simply turn the snare up. You could try that because there's other approaches, like you can use some transient modulation. There's a number of different transient modulators which can actually add punch that you can engage during the heavy spots and take it off for the more laid back parts. Joey Sturgis just released a plugin, and I'm really digging here lately. It's called Smack. It's I think it's called Smack anyway. But it's kind of emulates like a parallel compressor. What it would do to add extra transient punch but it's really simple. You just put the plug-in on the snare drum and turn it up, and you could use something like that to give the drums some extra crack and smack during the heavy moments. Of course, you would have to either set up a separate track or automate the thing to turn on and off, because you may not want that amount of smack and punch on the lower dynamic moments. But having said that, the smack is definitely going to change the character of the drum a little bit. You're going to hear that kind of parallel compressor sound. So it's going to change, but to me, it changes in a, in a desirable way. For me, like I like, when the guitars are rocking, everything's big. It just makes the snare nice and punchy. I used to do that, until I got this plug-in. I was just doing that with some parallel compression or some transient modulation, kind of dynamically through the song with these styles of mixes, or styles of songs and styles of records that go from lighter dynamic stuff to really, modern rocky stuff. So yeah. But as far as other than that, I mean, I think there was a loud high vocal thing that I might recommend, like maybe some multi-band compression, or maybe the smooth EQ, because it was coming across a little ear bitey in this mix. But again, that could be the Twitch thing happening. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, it makes I like all the dynamics and the cool use of effects for some depth and atmosphere and stuff like that.
Oh my god, it sounded like it was just 3D-ish, man. And it's like if Rush would be proud of it. I mean,
yeah, modern day Pink Floyd.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you what. If there's one thing I've gotten out of this, I would say I would love a follow up with these bands. See how everything turns out in the end. I can't tell. Somebody just put in a payment, so I can't tell if that's that new person or for that, or if they bought tokens. That's the thing. I don't have nothing showing me either way, because I don't know what Poopy Locks' real name is.
Gotcha.
So let me get just a second here, and let me see if I can see any detail on that, and if it tells me. I'm sorry, Jamie. I know you got like a zillion things to do.
No.
That's yeah, it was for that, but I don't know if we already played that person or not.
Gotcha.
So I'll refresh the play thing and see if there's anything new in there. I don't see anything. Would you be opposed to me, like, to me sending, like, all right, if this comes in like later, they might be still uploading it. If it comes in later, can I just send it to you? Maybe you can email them about any kind of feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Poopy Locks, if you're watching right now and you're the one that sent that in, or whoever, well, I mean, nothing got sent in. It was just a payment made, or it was a payment from earlier and it just now came through to alert me about it. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. But if you put one in now and it didn't upload yet, then I will. If you can either send me an email or send Jamie an email. Let him know who you're the one that put it in. And then Jamie's a pretty good guy. He won't smack you around too much for doing it. No, but yeah, send that to him, and then he'll give you just let him be specific, like some of those guys. Like the one guy said snare or something like that. It would help out a lot. But yeah, so man, this is great. This honestly, I like this better than any interviews I've done before.
It's fun.
Yeah, it was. It was
a lot of great stuff coming through, man.
I'm telling you, man, it's
good variety.
Got me kind of semi-intimidated with some of this stuff that's there. Like, what am I doing? Why am I still doing this? But anyway, yeah, it was so good. And all you bands have been in the chat and everything. If I didn't see your question in the chat, I apologize. But I hope that it covered everything you wanted and you were looking for out of this. And thank you for participating, Jamie. Thank you, because this elevated my channel points up like crazy, which I had hoped it was, and it did. So that's great. And if you can stay on for just a moment after we get this, I'll get you a total, and we'll figure out how to get you what's coming to you.
Sweet.
All right. So everybody that's watching us right now, you're going to see my break timer go up for just a moment. It will not take the whole 5 minutes, and I'll be back, and we'll rock out the queue. And I'm going to end recording right now.